Bonwayo sesubonakala ngobujesu yena ungukanya konke kwenzayo kunamandla izizwe zonke zizomangala because it is the time for supernatural to be natural asibona amandla kaJesu asibona amandla kaJesu. Yeah, we talk about supernatural. Yeah, we talk about supernatural. Titi wasa, Titi wasa. This is your time now. Yeah, we talk about supernatural. Yeah, we talk about supernatural. Titi wasa, Titi wasa. This is your time now.
Lebe utshale nanda izogquma ithwale ukuhlaba ngosibuka TV usifunde maphephandaba abangasandi bazosanda abangasandi sabathanda nathi bona hlanzeke igazi levana phela khona indoda eyalengeta wena segogotha Lephuputhe zabona usefikile umafohla Bethi vangele tsinto umzimba uphefumule kanye nomoya Yeah Asindaba bezinokwabo asinakinga siphethe makoya Yeah And thank you Lord for bringing down the glory I'm praising my Savior and this is my story Supernatural is natural, it's driven in me to going higher and higher That heaven is the limit
Yeah, we talk about supernatural. Yeah, we talk about supernatural. City was within the City was this is your time now. Yeah, we talk about supernatural. Yeah, we talk about supernatural. City was within the City was this is your time now. Kazi mologa moving kolok nakala. Forcelem ma forcem kaken yoke yempilo. Jehovah yasenzela. Ubungwele nothando singoba ngakho. Kazi mologa moving kolok nakala. Forcelem ma forcem kaken yoke yempilo. Jehovah yasenzela. Ubungwele nothando singoba ngakho. Ngoba ngakho, singoba ngakho. Ngoba ngakho, singoba ngakho. Ngoba ngakho, singoba ngakho. Ngoba ngakho, singoba ngakho.
Supernatural. Yeah, cheers, come on. Now here is the time of running like a soldier. Yeah, wearing the shoes of preaching gospel, living word. Our heavenly food, Jesus Christ, Tata Wako. Yeah, I say Tata Wako. When we say give one girl now, receive now, it's all yours. Yeah, the golden age and prosperity and blessing. What am I for?
We talk about supernatural. Yeah, we talk about supernatural. City was within the City was this is your time now. Yeah, we talk about supernatural. Yeah, we talk about supernatural. City was within the City was this is your time now. Ngoba ngakho, singoba ngakho. Ngoba ngakho, singoba ngakho. Ngoba ngakho, singoba ngakho. Ngoba ngakho, singoba ngakho.
Yebo yes sisho njalo ke iMI lapha. Yes, the young men. Abantu abasha ke lapha becula yithi this is supernatural. Fohla mafohla, sifohla singena la ngangenwa khona. Sivundlela la indlela khona kuyo yonke imkhakha yempilo. That is what we do egameni lika Jesu. So sinibingelele ke our Facebook friends, sifuna ukuxolisa ukuthi hayi i-internet ke yathi kushake kancane. That is why be cut off, but we just want to say we are continuing right now. We were talking about sometimes we fight God's direction, no matter directing, and we push against him because we want to do what is normal in or what is normal before people. And then we find ourselves we're not able to listen to God speaking to us. Sometimes you'll find which you're trying to do something and you are being faced with some challenges and you struggle and you suffer and you get stressed trying to do something instead of just relaxing and allow the time to take you down or maybe take you down and you flow to where you're supposed to go and you try to do because you want to do what is normal phambi kwabantu. Sometimes ezinye izinto esiyishoyo sike sithi abantu bazothini, or maybe I'm running out of time, but everything is just telling you that you need to stop and accept the situation as it is. But because it's not normal to accept the situation, especially when there are things calling for your attention, then it becomes difficult. You know, when there are children looking unto you for food and there is rent, there is installment for such and such and such, then it becomes difficult to be still and stand and trust uNkulunkulu. But hey guys, we need to come to a place where we master trusting uNkulunkulu. For sure, when we start trusting uNkulunkulu and listening to his guidance, it's going to be scary because we are going to the unknown. We are trying, we are doing something that we haven't been doing. So it's going to be scary, and of course there are things that are break down because you cannot build into entsha phezu kwetendala. Even nodonga mawuzolibenda afuna uqala ulifrefe eqala ukhipha umbala omdala or create i-adhesion ukuthi this thing entsha ozoyifaka izokwazi ukuthi inamathele for a lifetime. But you can put it in ungazange uliprepare udonga, but iqiniso lokuthi result will tell you it's not going to be a permanent thing, it's going to be a temporary thing. Uzobona upende usuvokomala sekuba into embi mase uyabona ukuthi now I'm supposed to work double. If I did the preparation at the beginning, bekuzoba ngcono ngoba bengizokwenza into ezohlala. But manje ngengokuthi I was not willing ukwenza preparation, that is why I have to do it again. Most of the time you'll find people doing something that they should have done once. You'll find that they will do it twice because they were lazy in the first time or they were not paying attention in the first place. Now, as I'm talking about this, I am reminded of a person who told the story, seven habits of highly successful or effective people. Denjalo, uthi ngoba ngayifunda kudala leyo ncwadi. Uthi lo muntu, there was a guy who went and cut a tree, and mayingabe esika isihlahla ngembazo wasika for hours. Then masesiya realize umunye wathi, why don't you sharpen imbazo yakho because it's blunt? And then was sharpenishile imbalo only to find ukuthi he cut the tree in 30 minutes. So I realized ukuthi I've wasted my time. If I had sharpened the saw the first time, ngabe kade ngiqedile. Sometimes because sharpening the saw, sometimes we feel like it's a waste of time. Sharpening the saw is like, it's not needed, I will use my power. Then you'll find ukuthi sizoba this is a delay. Instead of fear destination, we will delay ourselves, and it will take us double as much or 3 times as much or 4 times as much, and ridiculously as the Bantwana Baga Israel, I don't know how many times as much. 11 days journey became a 40 years journey because they decided that we are not going to let go of Izinto that you're supposed to let go. We are going to hold on, we are going to complain, we are not going to learn to trust uNkulunkulu, we are going to trust ourselves and be bitter against Moses who took us from slavery with the promise yokuthi freedom, but look at us, we are stuck in the desert. But the truth is the desert was supposed to be a place where they are prepared for ukuthi mabengena eCanaan kuba ukuthi bayidedelile zonke izinto ne-bondage mentality, scarcity mentality, poverty mentality ababenayo besuka eGibhithe. I know this transition sometimes it's a very difficult transition because we are so addicted ey'ntweni ezenzeka ngokushesha. But that is why when I began talking with first session yethu, if you are joining us right now, when I was speaking with first session yethu, I said you need to have a relationship with yourself. Start prioritizing yourself if you haven't already. Have things like this. I'm sorry to repeat myself, but for the benefit of people who are joining us, have journals where you are writing down your ideas, where you are writing down your plan, where is it that I'm going? Because God sometimes will, not sometimes, every time He will drop things in your spirit. And if you write it down, even if there is a delay, you will always remember what God has said, and it shall surely come to pass. I think here, for those who want to write, even you can have this option, or you can have this option where you are writing on a book. This is just a 3-quire for me, where you write so that it always remind me. I put an open date, so it's closed now. That means namhlanje 25, I'm closing this book and I'm starting a new one. Okay, so if you do that, when you write it down, times as izinto ibhala phansi, you don't necessarily go back zone, but ukubhala kwenza ukuthi into ibe more engraved in your spirit. So now we need to be able to listen if uNkulunkulu esinikeza ama direction ngeke ngahaza nga highlight and sometimes uNkulunkulu uzokunikeza I direction ngokuthi mhlambe ngalelo langa ufile lazy to do something or ukhathale ukuthi yabona bekufanele ngiye somewhere but no, I'm not going to go there but I'm going to remain here. Uthola ukuthi that was a sign kaNkulunkulu saving you from something, but thina ngoba we are addicted to do things ngendlela ukuthi I'm supposed to do this ngenxa yabantu nangenxa yezinto that are calling us, find ukuthi we will go on doing lezo zinto noma uNkulunkulu using our senses he wanted to save us eintweni. Uthola ukuthi sekuzofanele sidileke manje naleyo nto ebese ngakwazi ukuthi singabe si avoidile if silalelile. So now how do we go to a place where we are able to hear uNkulunkulu mayikhuluma? Sometimes you don't even need ukuthi umuzwe ethi the Lord, my child, do this, but because you have aligned yourself so much with him, the spirit that is within you, the spirit man that is within you, to connected no moya, he will always guide you ukuthi fanele wenze the right thing at the right time. You will have my inspiration that just come, and if you follow those inspiration, you'll find ukuthi you are doing the right thing that needs to be done at that time. And also you will be able to hear uma ngabe khuluma mhlawumbe ngakhuluma example ukuthi this lady had a craving for cakes, but she was not a cake fan and she decided to follow that craving, wahamba waye bakery to buy that cake that was smelling to her. Uma sengena lapha only to find wahlangana nomngani wakhe who introduced you to someone who helped her to publish a book. Who said, you know what, I realized ukuthi it was not a craving that I was feeling, it was God's direction leading me ukuthi ngiyohlangana nomngani wami. So ngithema sengibonana naye, I ended up not buying a cake. So now I understand ukuthi God will guide me. But there is always a preparation that needs to be done beforehand, before izinto zibe aligned, to tell ukuthi yonke into yenzeka ngesikhathi, of which most of the time we are not ready to do that. We want to live a life of rush all the time. But I just want to encourage you today, Guti, have 15 minutes. If an hour is too big for you, have two 15 minutes a day where you say, I'm dedicating this time to God so that I'm aligned with him so that he can speak to me. Right now, my passion and my desire is that I teach people in meditation where we are going before God and we are silent before him, when we are just quiet and we are able to listen. And when I tell people about meditation, they start criticizing me, Wuti, this thing, wara. But I'm not worried because this calling I feel inside me, this is something that I'm not faking, it's something that I feel ukuthi uNkulunkulu wants me to do. So now have that 15 minutes in the morning where you are just quiet before God. I am in the verge now of designing a sequence that you can follow in, so that when you are meditating, meditation yako izoba full. This meditation is going to deal with you as an individual. It's not something yokuthi I'm praying so that ngizoya phambili, ngizoya phandle bese ngiba powerful. Yes, of course, when you are meditating with an intention of filling yourself up, uzoba powerful when you need to, not to be powerful when you are wanting to prove yourself off kwabanye abantu. So you'll be ready to respond well to life when life happens, because life happens and life is a combination of positive and negative. So when life happens, you will be able to respond accordingly. So now have this 15 minutes in the morning where you're just quiet before God and you allow your thoughts to not to control you, but you allow your thought to be there and still be able to be quiet. Because sometimes ukuthi mawuya phambi kwaNkulunkulu mase kuba khona lezi zinto eziphopa out akwenzile ukuthi what about that, I deadline yokuthi usibani bana uzange ubenzele ukuthi, and you find ukuthi you are there in prayer but you are not there in prayer. You are just there ngomzimba but your spirit is not there. That is why uJesu ekhuluma ethi ngifuna abantu abazongiworshipa kuza isikhathi ekhuluma nomuntu usifazane waseSamaria, but there is coming a time where people will worship God not in the Jacob's mountain, not in Jerusalem temple, but who will worship God in spirit and in truth. And that is what we need to understand. And for me, worshiping God in spirit and in truth is when you are there fully, you, your spirit, your soul, and when you are worshiping Him and praying and meditating, it's not like you are there and you're thinking about something else. We do this esontweni. That is why Jesus in Matthew 6, He encourages us, let us go to a closet. Because in the closet, there are no triggers, there are no attentions from other people that tend to manipulate us, which is not true. So when you go to your closet and pray to your Father who is in heaven, then there is no element of trying to say the right thing so that the person who's sitting next to me will hear me, which I'm saying the right thing, but I will say a genuine thing because I equally manipulate. Okay, so now let us learn to master to be present when we go to God, even when your thoughts are coming and troubling you. Right now as I speak, there are people who are troubled by imicabango yabo. The imicabango just cannot be quiet. And there are people right now who are thinking of many things, not even 100 things, maybe abanye bacabanga imicabango more than what they can handle. And how do you know that you are thinking imicabango that are against you, that separates you from uNkulunkulu? You feel it in you by feeling it depression, by being irritated, by feeling anger, frustration, by feeling unworthiness, to be unworthy. Nokuba bored when you are bored, that is not the right place to be in. So when you feel those things, an indication there is something that you're thinking that is not working for you, but it's working against you. No matter how justified it is, which I'm thinking about because so and so did this to me, but you will feel it in you, Guti, you are not thinking as God wants you to think, by being in a negative side, by being in a fear zone side. So now when you are able to feel that and to identify that, then by all means you will make sure which what you're thinking is always in line with God. But most of the time when you're starting to be conscious and paying attention to your life, it's not an easy thing to do, but it's something that you need to do constantly and do it all the time so that ingqondo yakho will be transformed. You see, when we're talking about a mind being transformed and being renewed, we think about this thing as spiritual. Sometimes we always separate the spirit from the things that we have to do and say, no, izozenzekela zona. If kunjalo ngabe angaba yikho evil emhlabeni, ngaba bekho abantu abenza izinto ezirong emhlabeni because ngabe kuzenzekela kona. But we need to come to a place where we understand ukuthi the spirit and doing is a part yokugcwalisa izinto the spirit, but when you do it with the wrong motive, then it becomes a bad thing. That is why you need to do it when the Holy Spirit inspires you to do. So now when you go and teach yourself to be quiet and teach yourself ukuthi imicabango yakho mawundiza uhamba ushonisa le, you don't follow it. Instead you say, my mind, come back and be silent before God. When it goes, go back, and go there, no, come back and come here. And then the more you do that, zonke lamazwi amaningi abekhuluma, they are causing you to be crazy. They are going to be silenced over time. But it's important that you do that portion. That is why I'm saying 15 minutes, because uJesu uthi beningehlale nami nilinde nami ihora. So this other 30 minutes is for you to say whatever you want to say nkulunkulu. But if you give yourself 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon, just training you to be silent. And I promise you, ukuthi now you will learn to be true to yourself. You will learn not to do things when you want to do things and respond kubantu, whether it's something that you tell yourself or which is something that I should be responding to, or whether are people asking you to respond to them, but you will be true to yourself because you will do exactly what you're supposed to do in that place. So namhlanje, as we are rounding up, I am encouraging you ukuthi don't push against when God is speaking to you, giving you a new direction, something that is outside of the norm. Learn to listen to him. And when you go to these 15 minutes, go with an open heart. Whenever I talk to people about meditation, they think it's about something that is deja vu, something that is woo-woo, something that is not of God. And then mase ngiyacabanga ukuthi okay, ayikho into engeyona kaNkulunkulu la emhlabeni, ayikho into eyadala usathane la emhlabeni. Yonke into that exists umhlaba ungokaJehova nokugcwala kawo, there is absolutely nothing that the devil has ever created. It's just that ukucabanga kwethu has allowed to assign izinto kusathane, because we are always afraid of him. We are always afraid that something will go wrong. But we don't realize that when we are fearful of something going wrong, something will eventually go wrong. Because where we put our attention, those things that we put our attention will actually happen in empilweni zethu. Somebody said to me, kunomama obehlale ekhuluma ukuthi uyayithanda ingane zakhe. So now behamba nengane yakhe eyisa kadokotela iattenda because in a situation enayo empilweni, so idinga ukuthi inakekelwe. So lo mama uthi kwindodana yakhe, "Hey, njoba ngikuthanda kanje ngikunakekela kanjena. Ngiyazisa mase kufika umakoti who will take away from me, anga understand ukuthi mina bengalali when ugula." And then I thought about that statement, because right now I've taught myself to think about the things that I say and also to think about what people are saying to me. Mase ngiyacabanga ukuthi this woman doesn't know ukuthi sonke lesisikhathi, we don't know how long she's going to take care of her son. But for all these years taking care of her son, she doesn't know that she's actually planting a seed of rejection in the future by being scared ukuthi there is a woman who's coming to be a wife of my son who will take my son away. That is how we create in our lives. When we are scared of something, we don't realize that we are actually prophesying to be true empilweni zethu. Sengithi mina kulo mzalwane, please tell lo mama lo when she says that next time ukuthi right now she must plant a new seed of saying, you know what, mfana wami ngendlela engikuthanda ngayo, you will also get a wife who will love you like I love me and love me like I love you, because sobabili sobe sikuthanda. Rather than being scared. Ujobe engangikusaba kwangehlela. Ngangihlale ngiyibuza njalo ukuthi what does the statement mean? Until I understand ukuthi okay, the things that you're trying so hard to run away from, those are the things that will happen in your life. But what should I do so that I ensure ukuthi izinto engiyifunayo izona ezenzeka empilweni yami? You take your attention away from the things that you are scared of and you put your attention to the things that you actually want empilweni yakho. That means if you want to be loved, you can never attract love by looking at someone who doesn't love you. But you need to pay attention to those people that are loving you so that more love will come into your life. There are people right now who are complaining about people who have done things wrong in empilweni zabo. They are not aware that by doing that they are bringing more destruction in empilweni zabo. They are thinking they are doing something that should be done, discussing things that are wrong, but you don't understand. With discussing things that are wrong, you are making more things to be wrong in your life. So what do you do in that case? You look at the things that are actually making you happy. Even if it's your chair, even if it's your house, even if it's the Bible. I know njengabazalwane we are so obsessed because it must be a Christian thing. It must be a Bible thing. What is a Bible thing when your God and your Father is the one who created everything that exists in emhlabeni? For me, everything is Bible thing. Everything is Christian thing, because my Father created yonke into ekhona emhlabeni. Okay, so I even ngibe frustrated when people say, "Hey, lesi zinto zenziwa abahedeni." How do you know ukuthi lento le yakhiwe umhedeni? Buka lezi zinto zenziwa abantu ababahedeni. Umbonile? Do you know lo muntu ukuthi o design lento ukuthi akayena umzalwane? How do you know? Just because akashonga ukuthi uJesu then usuneshoyo ukuthi akakholwa. How do you know? Yini ukholwa kahle hle? I mean, I think we need to go to a place where we define what is faith. For me, faith is when you believe, you have a substance of things that are hopeful, you are holding it. It's not a Christian thing, it's something that you do. And yeah, so, but when I go there, I know what I'm treading on dangerous place because it will feel like I'm saying something else, but I'm not saying something else. I'm just saying what to call, we apply it every day. When you take the taxi, have you pointed up? Get ekwini ungene mangabe point up mawethe ekwini ungene eTaxini. You believing leyo taxi izokisa emsebenzini, that is faith. Sitting on the chair, that is faith. Okay, going to an ATM and wazi ukuthi imali izobe ikhona, that is faith. So we apply faith every time. And then mase go ukuthi mase size esontweni mase siya specialize ukukholwa as if it's something special, but it's something that you do every time. Sometimes even those disasters that came to you is because you believe it. That is why you are experiencing right now. But I know it doesn't sound good because it's like when it comes to faith, it's something supernatural. It's something that God will do without me being involved. Let me tell you, we are always involved in creating izinto empilweni zethu by having faith, by choices that you are making, by words that you are speaking, by the thoughts that you're thinking, by the emotions that you keep in your body. Okay. So having said that, we've come to the end of our show, but I believe you will think today. Another thing that I would like to share with, I've done this so many times. I know sometimes I repeat myself a lot, but as long as I feel like repeating myself, I will repeat myself until there's that edge of what's in Kulume about something else. But the truth is, we eat the bread, we eat the bread every day. You breathe the same air every day. You wash yourself the same way. So there are things that are simple that we need to do every day. I know njengabazalwane we've so addicted to our revelations and end up ukuthi sometimes these revelations don't do a thing for you. They are just revelations that are not applied empilweni yakho. Njenge even nembali, right, because isuke ihlobisile, but lama revelation are redundant. They are something that are not things that are not activated in your life. For me, I no longer need revelation. For me, I need something simple that will bring fruit in empilweni yami. So now, another thing that you can do is to activate your senses, is to pay attention when you are listening. And lokho kuzokufundisa ukuthi ukwazi ukuzwa uNkulunkulu even noma ungamzwanga nje wade ngisho it is thus saith the Lord, but the spirit, the human spirit connected to the spirit of God will take you there. Yesterday I spoke about the topic not knowing ukuthi my husband has already played something that was in that line. And I speak about that only to find Ntokozo yangithi ma, did you discuss no about ukuthi lento ozokhuluma ngayo? Because I heard him playing your sermon where you're talking about this thing. It's me, I know, but I just felt that thing calling me in the morning. Go time I speak about it. So God will speak like that to you. You will have a more prompting. You will have a more inspiration. You will feel like doing something. You will miss someone. You will have a craving. And only to find Nkulunkulu is the one who is. You will get tired. Feel like sleeping when you have my plans. The rain will rain. Instead of getting angry, my plans have been jeopardized, but God was the one who's saying, you know what, angiseleli izulu so that umntana ami ngekazayi lapha because I don't want her to go there. Ezinye izinto izobhidlika because uNkulunkulu will say, you know what, it's not time for you to go there and enter the thing. Ibhidlika into umuntu abe frustrated for years ukuthi into ibhidlikile, but uNkulunkulu standing on the other side, but I was saving you. I was saving you a lot of misery. Years of misery, but when you don't see, there are so many who are for them than those who were coming to capture them. So I love you so much. I bless you for coming and sharing your time with me. I pray for you. Let us connect our hearts, each other's hearts in agreement, for which we are blessed and everything is working for us. Sisazohleka sana. If ukhala usazohleka, kusazoba mnandi empilweni yakho. And if you are going through the valley of the shadow of death, just keep on having that positive expectation ukuthi ayi, if kunje ukuthi God is preparing a table for me, already the table has been prepared for me. So let's go and get those journals. Let us begin to write. Ngiyazi ukuthi lapha uNosipho uyangibukela. Nosipho phela awukusola ama poems fan. We need to hear those poems of yours and just send me a note so that we can play them here on air. There are people who are blessed in terms of writing things that are poetic. So in case you don't hear me right now, please, we would like to share your thoughts here and give people that inspiration. Thank you so much, Kuzamahlobo, Nunkuzu, Zashazi, Catherine, Judy, and everybody who's been watching us. We just want to say it has been a wonderful time. May the Lord bless you. Looking at real life and applying the principles that we are sharing. And in this saying, we are raising a generation that fears God. We are living a victorious life. We are taking over. Me, myself, and I just want to say thank you. Pastor Ntombiezi Shares would be joining us today. A room pastor, a pastor filled with energy. Sibongeke phambi kwethu bekukhona untokozo makhanya kanye no baba wethu, my husband, my lover, my king, uDokotela Suoane Msomi, who has been spending time with you. Sithi siyabonga kakhulu for laying the foundation for us. Size sibonane ke kusasa ke, so mase siphuma ke manje, so phuma lapha ngomzwandile zondi yoni MI ake sizwe ukuthi bazobe bethi this time kade besiculela bethi supernatural, but ke sozwa ke this time ukuthi bathini as we are checking out.
Something is moving, something is changing. See His glory, feels like heaven on earth. Something is moving, something is changing. See His glory, feels like heaven on earth. There is lightning and thunder, miracles and wonders, sound of many warriors. Heaven on earth, there is lightning and thunder, miracles and wonders, sound of many warriors. Heaven on earth, oh, heaven, heaven, heaven on earth, oh, heaven, heaven, heaven on earth. Something is moving, something is changing. See His glory, feels like heaven on earth. Something is moving, something is changing. See His glory, feels like heaven on earth. There is lightning and thunder, miracles and wonders, sound of many warriors. Heaven on earth, there is lightning and thunder, miracles and wonders, sound of many warriors. Heaven on earth, oh, heaven, heaven, heaven on earth, oh, heaven, heaven, heaven on earth. See His glory, glory, feels like heaven on earth, heaven on earth. See His glory, glory, feels like heaven on earth, heaven on earth. Something is moving, something is changing. See His glory, feels like heaven on earth. Something is moving, something is changing. See His glory, feels like heaven on earth. There is lightning and thunder, miracles and wonders, sound of many warriors. Heaven on earth, there is lightning and thunder, miracles and wonders, sound of is moving, something's changing. His glory feels like His glory. Heaven on earth, there is nothing and thunder, miracles and wonders, sound of many warriors. Heaven on earth, there is nothing and thunder, miracles and wonders, sound of many warriors. Heaven on earth, oh, oh, oh. Heaven on earth, oh, oh, oh. Heaven on earth. Heaven on earth. Heaven on earth.
Kunamandla elimini lakho ngokusho kwakho enyengazayo khona into eyenzakalayo. Haleluya. Futhi lo phambi kwenu namhlanje umusa kaNkulunkulu nami wena ongibeke la okokuqala. Amen. Haleluya. Osukwini lokuqala ngolesine. Amen. Haleluya. Ngizohamba nami nje nazi ukuthi njengoba uJesu ela yonke into oyifunayo wena okwakho nje tune your mind.